Hello and welcome to the Progressive Hub powered by Roots Action live stream, live from the DNC spring meeting. One moment and we will get started. There we go. I think my sound's a little better now. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Ryan Black. I'm the organizing director with Roots Action and editor at progressivehub.net. Please check out Progressive Hub, progressivehub.net for daily stories, the stories that matter most to progressives and folks on the left, attached to an action you can take right away to make change, to communicate with your representatives, to your senators, to sign petitions, to organize with folks locally, to actually make change and get something done. Today, we'll be focusing on the executive committee meeting, which was supposed to have started 2 minutes ago. They're running late. They're always running late. That is okay. Shortly, we will be joined by Sam Rosenthal, political director at Roots Action. We had a big day yesterday. Lots of things happened. We had a general meeting that was disrupted multiple times. Had India Walton making a lot of noise, which got a ton of views on social media, which is fantastic. Always excellent to see India Walton making noise in the party. Okay. I will be right back and we will wait for the program to begin and then we will be here commentating on it. Right, and we should be getting started any minute now. Hang tight, and here's Sam Rosenthal joining us. How you doing today, Sam? Oh, you're frozen. I'll take you off for a moment until you get connected. Sam, you give me a thumbs up when you can hear me. Do we got you, Sam? Sam is using hotel Wi-Fi, so it's acting like hotel Wi-Fi. I suppose I can try to recap what went down at the resolutions committee meeting and then the general meeting yesterday. So in the resolutions committee, there were a couple things that I think progressives were really supportive of. Resolution 14 and 15 were about Gaza and Iran, making firm statements about them. Well, here's Sam. Let's bring him in.
Hey, Ryan. Sorry about that.
Hey, we got you loud and clear now. I was just going to go over and do a quick recap of what actually happened over the last 2 days, and maybe you can help me out with that.
Sure.
So there were several resolutions that progressives were very supportive of. And even if maybe they won't make a huge difference in the party, it matters to get this stuff on paper to set what our values are. Resolution 14 and 15 were about Gaza and Iran. Both of those resolutions were referred to committee. And the committee that they were referred to basically doesn't exist. It's a committee that did not file a report at the general meeting or the resolutions committee meeting. And there were some people, some DNC members who voiced that they weren't even sure that those meetings were happening. I know personally, although he said that they were happening monthly, I've heard from people who know better that they absolutely are not happening monthly. And it's a water and oil situation where the people on the committee are never going to agree because they're trying to get them to agree on genocide. So resolutions 14 and 15 basically sent to die so that nobody would have to vote on them and nobody would ever have to do anything. Everybody's hands stay clean except for the genocide, of course. So then yesterday, when that got to the general meeting to be fully supported, they weren't part of the resolution packet. So the full DNC did not vote or make their voices heard on anything related to Gaza or Iran. Massive failure by the DNC. I think there's some stories from The Hill and others making fun of them for it. Ken Martin tried to come out and defend himself, but it was embarrassing. Yeah. Resolution 10 was about dark money and getting dark money out of Democratic primaries. Seems good. It passed. It's good, except that they amended it to take out any language that referred to the specific industries.
If members could please take their seats.
Here we go. We have a meeting started. Basically, they pulled out any mention of APAC, AI, or crypto. And they also voted in favor.
Hello, everybody. It's very good to see all of you here in New Orleans. We've got a packed agenda, so we're going to get started.
They also voted in
right
favor
into it.
of
So
democratic
I hereby call
transitions
this
in
meeting of
Venezuela
the
and
DNC
Cuba, which is
Executive
essentially
Right.
support
Yeah.
regime change wars.
As we begin,
Yep.
please rise
Deeply
if you are
embarrassing.
able to join
Let's
me in
cut to
reciting
Ken
the
Martin and
Pledge
see
of
what he's got to
Allegiance.
say today. Oh, another Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah, I think we're doing a Pledge of Allegiance first.
Right. Because like Norman was saying yesterday, one of the subplots of this weekend in New Orleans is the Democrats proving that they're not libs, they're not progressive, they're just good old-fashioned patriotic Americans.
Right.
Accessible not only to our members, but to Democrats across the country, which is why we are live streaming today's meeting. So thank you to the members and to
Live
all the
streaming with
viewers
no
who are
comments
joining us
allowed
via
and
this
no
live
debate.
stream. Before I introduce Secretary Ray to report on our quorum, I'd like to also acknowledge our parliamentarian, Helen McFadden, the DNC's IT department, which is making today's live stream possible, and the DNC's general counsel, Andy Levian, for her guidance.
While we go through this nonsense that doesn't matter, Sam, I'm not sure if you saw the tweet of India disrupting yesterday.
Yeah, main rounds, yeah.
Oh, we got almost 60,000 views, over, almost 3,000 likes, almost 800 retweets. Did well on Blue Sky, did everywhere. So yeah, and then an NBC reporter also published it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and again, it's not. It's just like important to keep saying. It's not like India was asking for something radical. She was just saying, "Where's the autopsy report that you all spent money to research and publish? What happened to it?"
right,
And that's
after
what you got kicked
promising
out
us
for.
that they would be transparent too.
Yep.
Who previously served in the Louisiana House of Representatives and as the president of the New Orleans City Council. Mayor Moreno is the first Hispanic and the second woman to lead
Should I
this
turn
great
this volume
city
up, Sam?
here in New Orleans. Mayor Moreno, thank you
I
so
can
much
hear all
for
right.
being here. Thank you
Okay,
for your
I'm gonna just a hair
hospitality. I think folks had a good time over the course of the week. I know I saw a lot of folks out last night. So, but thank you for your support and being with us all week. I really appreciate it, and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So everybody did have a good time, right? Everybody feeling all right this morning, right? I heard y'all went to Frenchman. What'd you think? It was good, huh? Good music, right? All right. Well, look, it was my pleasure to have you all here in the city of New Orleans. We are a city that is built to host, and I hope that you felt our city's hospitality. And I hope that you continue to come back, because we here in the city of New Orleans were built by having very strong Democrats in our city. We are overwhelmingly a Democratic city. But as you all know, we are in a little bit of a conservative state. But we're trying to change it from being red to being back again a blue state. And I know that it is possible. And Mr. Chair, I want to thank you for your leadership. I want to thank you for having a real focus on winning, because when we win, we can govern and we can actually change people's lives. And that is,
I believe the last time, just looking it up, the last time Louisiana went blue was for Bill Clinton in '96.
one is strategy on making sure that we are looking at all types of seats, that we're really focusing in also, as you and I had discussed before, on our state legislatures, because I really believe that right there is where, like in states like Louisiana, we can make a difference. Over the past 10 years, right here in the state of Louisiana, we have had 12 seats flipped to red, which means we can now work on making sure that we flip those red seats back to blue. And in the legislature, I truly believe that that is where you can really get that foundation and have quality candidates that learn on how to deal with policy, impact, people's lives, learn how to deal with the media, learn about fundraising. And so those right there are really key areas that we need to focus on. So I appreciate your real focus there. And then the other piece too is on the messaging. The messaging is so key. And we as Democrats, what we do is we deliver. We deliver on causes that impact people's lives every single day. If you look across the board, Democrats across the nation are delivering on better infrastructure, on keeping people safe, on opportunities for job employment, on opportunities for our youth. That's what we deliver on. So while we may have Republicans worrying about whether or not ICE comes in or what we're doing in Iran, we're working on issues that impact people's lives and once again change people's lives.
Is that
And
the
so we
craziest thing
stay
we've
on
heard
that
tonight,
message.
Sam? Or
You're
this weekend?
absolutely right, Mr. Chair.
It sounded to me like she was saying that Democrats shouldn't focus on the Iran war or ICE. Is that right?
Yeah, that was really crazy.
To meet so many of y'all. Artie, you're like my new BFF.
I
The
wonder if
Republicans
she
are worried about
misspoke.
war and
And just
murdering and
call on me. Call on me
genocide
for
and
whatever you may
eyes
need.
and kidnapping
Call on us here
families.
in
That's not us.
Louisiana.
Us
We are
Democrats, we
here
don't care about
ready
that
to
stuff.
help, ready to get activated and make sure that we win all across the board from city councils to
We
state
care about the
councils,
real issues like creating public-private partnerships that will
Right,
disqualify
right.
most people
Yeah.
from benefits.
Bizarre thing to say.
Thank you so much, Mayor
Wild.
Moreno. And you know, we've heard from some great Democrats this week, and we've heard from some great mayors of New Orleans, including Mark Morial, who we heard from yesterday in our general session, Mayor Moreno, who's been with us all week, of course. And now it's my honor to introduce another great mayor of this
They just
city,
clap and move on like
someone
she
who
didn't just
many of
say the
you
most
in this room,
insane
of course,
thing.
know
Like,
very
this is
well.
such a weird,
Former
such a weird
Mayor
group of
Mitch
people.
Landrieu, who
I don't
most
think they're really
recently
listening
served
to each
as
other
the
while they're
CEO
talking anymore. It's so many platitudes, you know, after some point your brain just shuts off, I think.
Right, they're
where we had
practicing their
tremendous
own chat
success under
GPT
President
speech.
Biden's leadership, and of course under Mitch Landrieu's leadership. Mayor Landrieu was a transformative leader in rebuilding New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina, and he oversaw the largest national infrastructure investments in generations thanks to President Biden and Democrats in Congress. He continues to lead throughout this country. Since leaving the White House, he has worked tirelessly, traveling around the country, getting Democrats re-engaged and continuing to help build this party everywhere. He's a great friend of mine, a great friend of this party. He's doing amazing work. Please welcome Mayor Mitch Landrieu.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, thank you so much. And thanks all of you for coming to our city. I'm thrilled to be sitting next to one of my very, very dear friends, and thrilled for the city of New Orleans that she has offered herself to be the mayor, Mayor Helena Moreno, who has done a spectacular job. So, Mayor, thank you very much. I don't want to aggravate my friends from Philadelphia and Denver and Chicago and everything, but if y'all just want to stick around here and just have the convention, we can do it real quick, and we'll speak about that for another day.
I muted
There
them and
really
then talked,
is
so that was my bad.
It's prescient, actually, that you're in the city of New Orleans. I don't think there's another place in the United States of America, notwithstanding how gorgeous this fantastic country is, that represents our nation's motto, E pluribus unum, out of many, we are one. I am one of those people that believes that diversity is our greatest strength, not a weakness, that the idea of the founding fathers, the idea of America, that we all come to the table of democracy as equals, and irrespective of race, creed, color, orientation, you have an inalienable right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It may seem strange to you that I would start off with what we used to think was such a basic understanding and agreement among most Americans, but there are people in power now, including the president and the vice president, who have spoken forcefully against that very idea. And if the idea of America goes away, then the promise of America goes away, and maybe America herself. And so as you sit in this city, I just would remind you respectfully that you are less than 1,000 feet from the convention center, where after Katrina, a storm that killed 1,800 people, hurt 200,000 homes, destroyed an entire city, you saw America almost lose her soul. And this city, after being on its back from Katrina, Rita, Ike, Gustav, the national recession, the BP oil spill, decided that they were going to be unbowed and unbroken, and they would not be defeated. And I am happy to report to you that after 15 months of the worst president in the history of the United States, the people of America remain unbowed and unbroken. And they are in a mood right now to set right what has been made crooked. I have been traveling this country for really the last 4 or 5 years, a couple of years as President Biden's infrastructure coordinator, and for the last year and a half as the co-chair of American Bridge, trying to find the answer to what I think is a very simple question. which is why we lost people that used to be with us for a long time and how we can find our way back into power. I'd like to talk about power for a second before I talk about the way forward. If you don't have power, you cannot do anything. If you win the argument,
Strong
but
words.
you don't have power, you have nothing.
True.
100 million times 0 is 0. I need you to remember that. It's really important because right now
True.
you have seen power put in the hands of a person who has abused it in a way that is really not
Seems to be building
seen,
up
not
towards
only in the
we
history of the
shouldn't
United
fight
States
for
of
hard
America, but
things.
perhaps
We just need to
the
win.
history of the world.
Yeah.
The President of the United States the other day said that he was going to eviscerate an entire civilization. Now, I want that to go into your head and then to ask your friends who voted for him, is that really what you wanted? Is that really what you intended? Has the power of the
I thought the
presidency
lady
and the
before
power of
said that
Congress
Democrats don't
been
care
used
about
to
things
lift
like
people up or
Iran.
push them down, to divide us or to unite us, to build
I guess
things
there's
or to
some
destroy
disagreement
things?
between
And
these
I
two.
think that what you are
And
feeling
these
right
very
now
good friends.
is a large swath of American people, Democrats, Republicans, independents, who are basically saying, I want to do something different. In my travels, the answer has been very, very clear. On behalf of American Bridge, we started the Working Class Project because my fellow Democrats, we used to win working class folks, people that were making less than 100,000, 90,000, 80,000. They were always with us. And if you're a smart politician and you're worth your salt, and you
I'm
want to ask
sure
why
this
you
guy's a
left,
good
you
person
might
and a
go
good
ask the
guy
people who
and be a
left us
great
why
neighbor.
they left us.
I'm
And
just
this is
not sure
not
how someone
complicated.
who
I'm
maybe
not
I
telling
missed
you
it.
it's not hard.
I
I'm
know
just telling
Biden
you
had
it's
an
not
infrastructure
complicated.
bill. This guy worked on
The working
infrastructure
men
under
and women
Biden.
of the United States of
But does
America
anyone
standing
really
in the
think
middle of the street,
Biden had
waving
like
their
this
arms,
extremely
screaming at
successful
the top of their lungs,
infrastructure
you left me behind. You
redevelopment
did
that
not
has
see me.
improved our
You did
roads
not
or
listen to me.
bridges
You
nationwide?
made it
Like it seems
impossible for
like,
me
I mean, what
to
are your
make a
like?
living and to
It just
support
seems like there's a
Yeah.
lot of failing
and what
off
they
in the
want
DNC, and
in
you can't
America to do,
lose.
both
I
in
mean, this is
government and
also,
non-government
Landry
private.
worked in Biden's 2024
They want us
campaign,
singularly
was one of
focused
the
on
senior
getting us
advisors to that campaign, I
into
believe.
office
And
because they
we know
believe
how
we
that
have
went. So
failed
when
them.
he talks about power and how to keep
We
it, I
have
think
broken
he should
them,
remember
broken
that
them.
one of
And
the
we
ways
as
to keep
government
power
need
is
to
to
do
run
something
good
different.
candidates and
As
not
very simply stated,
try to sandbag the
if you
American
worked
people
hard
about what they can see in front of
and did
their
what you were
eyes,
supposed to
which is
do,
that Joe Biden shouldn't
you
have
would
run
get
for
the work
re-election in
done
the
that you
first
did
place. So
for a great job
that's a bit
and
of
do it your
an
way
irony there to
and
me.
do it in a way
Yeah, there's a lot of
that
them, and
people
just
have
like it
never
doesn't matter
ever
if you
seen
win or
before.
lose. If you've
That
ever had
change has
power, they
disappeared
want you to
in the
stay in
last 2
power because
years
it
with their
looks good at
pace.
events to have people who have
The
touched
president of the
power.
United
It's
States
very
said that if
weird.
he ran for office and we gave him that mantle of power, that he would keep us out of foreign wars and he would reduce our costs. Instead, he has lit the world on fire and he has expanded people's burden beyond what they ever thought, and they have had enough. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the midterms are about controlling the power that has been abused, and 2028 is about our opportunity to create the dawning of a new tomorrow. And I would just leave you with these very simple thoughts. I have
I wonder if a
very
resolution to
basic
condemn
themes
Hassan Piker would
about
have
what to do
passed.
going forward. The first is to win.
I feel like he probably would have.
I think it would
The
have.
second is to
Yeah.
win. And the third is to win. So from now until whenever, in every decision
I
that
mean,
you
this is
make,
just such empty
there's only
rhetoric,
one
just talking
question
about
that you should ask
winning,
about
saying
Biden.
winning is
Yes
good
or
over and
no
over
on
again,
that.
but not
And the question
saying
is,
how
will
you
you
win or
win?
why you win.
There are
Right,
a lot
right.
of
We've heard this speech several times now this weekend, and it's just really betrays a total lack of consensus around how you win.
But
Right.
100
Anything
million
to avoid the
times 0
policies.
is 0. And the way that you win, I'm not trying to be a smartass.
I sent you one of the packets that the DNC put out about this was like a week or two ago about their like what we need to how our ground game needs to change to win and all
Yeah,
of this
yeah.
stuff. And then I knew there's a liberal party friend that I used to know, and I saw that she had put out one as well about, oh, this is the problem with the field. This is how we do it. And you just see, and you see here as well, a complete lack of addressing the elephant in the room, which is the policies, which is Gaza, which is like a total lack of leadership on any of the issues that people actually care about, and doubling down on these speeches about how we all deserve freedom and this is one America unity. It's just nothing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me just bring you back to where you are when you start feeling like something is not possible. This city was under 17 feet of water. 1,800 people of our brothers and sisters died floating outside of this building in the water. And we did not quit. We picked ourselves back up. We prayed. We asked for help. We came together. And ladies and gentlemen, there is nothing the United States of America can't do if we do it together. We are better.
New Orleans was an absolute horrible tragedy, of course.
Had it pretty good.
But the idea that New Orleans came back stronger is, in a lot of ways, they did. But their entire school system was privatized in that process.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of gentrification, a lot of privatization. The city is
Yeah.
very different. I've been here a couple times over the years. It's a very different place now than it was. I was here just a year or two after Katrina. And it has turned around, but I think there's the question always of what's been lost in the process, who's been displaced.
For your continued leadership in fighting for this country, and thank you for being here. I'd like to take a few moments right now to say a few words before we move into the committee reports. As Democrats,
Rebuilding with corporate dollars is ultimately not the long-term solution to like long-term
I
success.
said yesterday we have 207 days. We have 206 days today. 206 days. Voters will have the opportunity to reject this failed president and to reject the Republican Congress that enabled him. Now, a few weekends ago, more than 8 million people took to the streets in big cities and small towns, in red states and blue states and purple states alike. Americans showed up in incredible numbers and spoke with one unified voice. We are a democracy. We are the United States. No kings, not now, not ever. And while we have 206 days in front of us, we also have 250 years of history behind us. 250 years of Americans who pushed and prodded and protested and marched and voted to make America big enough for all of us. Today, we continue that effort. We continue to defend the sacred belief that all of us are entitled to life, to liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
The other guy
The
already
idea
said that line.
we the people, have the power to decide our own future. America was born out of revolution. It experienced pain, strife, and division, and these made us stronger, of course. Inspired by abolitionists and suffragists, advocates and activists,
I'm going to turn this down for a minute. Commenting on the No Kings, of course, the Democratic Party is going to take on No Kings as much as possible because largely it's a critique of process, right? They're not saying we don't want the war. They're saying we need to vote on the war, but we will vote for it. It's we can't have a king because he decides unilaterally. We need to decide together to do awful things.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the other thing that's notable about that is that no kings, and I have some issues with some of the rhetoric, though I think it's good on the
Sure.
whole. But no
Right.
kings started. It was outside groups that started it. The Democratic Party was doing nothing, and people decided that they needed to do something. And so this is actually no kings is sort of something that replaced what an opposition party could have been doing, and now the Democratic Party is trying to piggyback on it like it's part of their momentum, but it was people deciding that they needed to do something because the party wouldn't.
Right. It's been subsumed by the party, but then also the organizers, they don't want to get too specific because then that drives some of the groups away from participating, and their goal is numbers more than anything. It's fine, it's just not a solution.
Every morning and fight for a better future with each and every one of you and with millions of Americans across this beautiful country. And let me just say, we got a lot of work in front of us. I'm not going to repeat what I said yesterday at the general session, only to remind us that it's all gas, no brakes. Don't get overconfident. Don't believe a poll that shows you up any more than a poll that shows you down. If we go out there and do the hard work of what Mayor Lambert
Okay,
said,
Google, tell me some phrases the young people are saying.
Right, totally.
Oh, my phone did it. Hold on.
generation opportunity as Donald Trump continues to push people out and away. It's our opportunity to invite people into this conversation and build our party, not just for this election cycle, but for the future to come. Let's get out there and do that, Democrats, and thank you so much. At this point, we're going to move on to committee reports. So
all gas, no brakes, but we tapped the brake on both Gaza resolutions, on the dark money resolution, and on standing up to war in Venezuela and Cuba, and on not releasing the autopsy. So it seems to be lightly on the gas, but tapping the brakes a lot.
As our
Yeah,
party
yeah.
drafts the documents that will govern the 2028 Democratic presidential primary. As you know, Chairman Roosevelt isn't with us today, but we are joined by Chairwoman Mignon Moore. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Democrats. How are you today? Did the Big Easy do you good last night? Well, yesterday, as I said in my report,
They must have
we
gotten
adopted
drunk,
by
like
member-
really
as I
partied
said
last
in
night.
my
Beginning
You
these
see, they
people out
keep
on the town. I
referencing
don't know.
it.
I missed the
membership
party.
that we
Man,
adopted by
we
the
weren't
membership
invited? Weird.
yesterday. The DNC Rules and Bylaws Committee met to consider the 3 proposed charter and bylaws amendments that were submitted. 2 of those amendments were withdrawn by the sponsor prior to the meeting, and the committee voted against adopting the remaining proposed bylaw. The Rules and Bylaws Committee also began drafting the 2028 delegate selection rules. Our committee will complete these and the 2028 call to the convention ahead of the DNC summer meeting in Austin, Texas, where they will be considered and adopted by the full DNC membership. After the adoption of the rules and the call by the full DNC membership, the RBC will begin reviewing its regulations, which further define aspects of the rules and the call, along with a model delegate selection plan and a checklist by the end of the year. And that completes our report, Mr. Chairman. And again, I want to also thank Rick Borland, who sat in Jim's chair to keep it warm until he got back to us at our
Yes.
summer meeting.
Thank you,
so
Mignon.
much.
Thank you, Mignon, and to the whole Rules and Bylaws Committee for their continued work on our nominating process. It's a lot of work. For those of you who have not attended a Rules and Bylaws Committee, I understand why. For those that have, I know you understand how important it is. It is an incredibly significant work and very tedious work, because this committee is trying to make certain that we get this right. The work of the Rules and Bylaws Committee is so important. I thank Mignon and Jim for their leadership. I want to thank the staff, of course, as well as Rick for helping the other day with that meeting. At this point, I'd like to welcome our Budget Oversight and Review Committee co-chairs Chris Lowe and Doris Kraus-Mays to provide the Budget Committee's report. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Chris Lowe, the National Finance Co-Chair, and along with my co-chair, Doris Kraus-Mays, we collectively co-chair the Budget Oversight and Review Committee. And I'm pleased to provide this brief report of the BORC, see I got there, to the DNC, to the Executive Committee. As I noted at our general session yesterday, this was a really special meeting for us. Back in August, when we passed the Chair's reform package, one of the pieces relating to the Budget Oversight Committee called for a draft DNC budget to be presented to the committee for comment. At that meeting yesterday, at that meeting 2 days ago, DNC staff presented that draft budget, and members of the committee spent 2 hours commenting. Doris and I had determined this was a discussion that was best had in camera, and we had a very productive meeting with all members of the committee present participating. I want to take a moment to thank you, Chair, and the staff for the work in producing that draft budget document. I know it was not easy to do, and we look forward to working with you and the staff to continue the budget process, as this was really just the first stage, and we want to follow through the requirements of the bylaws, and we will report back on that at future Executive Committee and DNC meetings. And now my esteemed co-chair, Doris Kraus-Mays.
Thank you, Chris. I really do want to reiterate just how unprecedented this was. I've been on this committee for a long time, and we have never, ever seen anything like the document that was presented to us. I want to take this opportunity to thank the chairman and all of the staff for their work in making our meeting so successful. In addition to that, the meeting, we held a virtual meeting in early March, which contained a number of other firsts for this committee. After being presented with a detailed report on the DNC finances, we were joined for the first time again by the DNC's finance directors, and they were able to provide us with insight into the major donors programs. After their presentation, the committee was presented with the newly adopted DNC conflict of interest policy by our general counsel, an important new policy that ensures that when DNC spends money, nobody makes those decisions that stands to gain personally. Moving forward, we're excited to work with the chairman and your staff to continue our work in keeping the DNC in a healthy financial condition. Thank you.
Thank you so much to both of you for that report. The DNC Credentials Committee is chaired by my two good friends, Ryan Ramirez and Congresswoman Nikema Williams.
Took till 2026 to ban DNC from spending money, just giving their friends money for things.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no way that that is actually going to happen. A lot of
No.
the party is sort of built on those kinds of relationships.
The whole party is built on those really, right? 100%.
Amazing Congresswoman Nikema Williams.
Yes.
We chair the DNC Credentials Committee. The only matter of business before the Credentials Committee since our last meeting was the 2024 challenge to the seating of Alabama's 3 elected DNC members for the 2024 through 2028 term. After 2 years, we're hopefully to the end of the tunnel with the Alabama challenge. Yesterday, the DNC adopted our report to seat Mr. Charlie Stanton and not seat the other 2 challenges.
This is very boring. Sam, here's an interesting question for you.
Okay.
Do you think Ken Martin will last the full 4-year term? Or do you think that he gets mad and leaves before then? I think they usually last the whole time, though.
Yeah, I don't think he'll get mad and leave. I think that if
I know that's a simple, stupid way to put it, but with the pushback and the, yeah, we'll just see how it goes. Go ahead.
I think it really depends on what happens at the midterms. If it's, you know, a big blue wave election, which I think everyone is gearing up for, he'll probably take that and leverage it to say that it's because of his stewardship of the DNC. If it's, you know, a so-so election, I think that he might have some pressure still on him from outside the DNC and inside the DNC. And I think if it doesn't go well for Democrats, he's out of there.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
So
if
I think
there's
it all
no
hinges
blue
on the
wave.
midterms.
Got you. But the expectation is that there's a massive blue wave. So anything short of that would put a lot of pressure on him. It's hard from the
Right,
outside
exactly.
looking in to know how strong or weak he is as a leader, because everybody in the room like will treat the leader like a king no matter what.
Yeah, and that's kind of the code, is that, you know, it's a cone of silence, that no one actively criticizes the chair, but behind the scenes there's certainly a lot of maneuvering and backstabbing going on, people talking to the press off the record, etc. So you know, we'll see what happens. I think it definitely hinges on the midterms.
Sitting with every
Resolutions
resolution that
committee.
has come through over this year and hearing from members who wrote them, really trying to understand what they're really asking for. Something's become, something's become clearer to me, and I think it's important for the body to hear it. I don't think that the path forward for our party is simply a better message. Rather, it is a restored relationship with our voters. That is our work, and that restoration is an exercise in humility that's a prerequisite for building trust. We can keep focusing on slogans and those sort of things, but like any relationship worth having, it requires humility before we earn that trust. I watch us spend a lot of energy trying to find the perfect thing to say, right? We're Democrats. We want to find the right frame and we want to figure out the right language. And I 100% understand why, because we are a party that believes in the power of words. But somewhere along the way, we started talking and prioritizing the press more than we started talking to people. We started optimizing for headlines instead of optimizing for the living room. And our voters can tangibly feel the difference. I'll tell you this, authenticity and empathy are never the result of focus groups and message testing. They never have been. People know what you mean when you say it, and they know when you don't. So here's what I'd like to offer the committee. And I shared this a little bit with my members yesterday, that we have to build the tolerance for being criticized. I say that with full knowledge of the room that I'm standing in, that every single thing we say will upset somebody. That is the cost of leadership. So we might as well say what we actually believe, because the only thing worse than being attacked for your convictions is being ignored because people believe you don't have any in the first place.
The problem
And I
is
have
that
to
they
be
won't say
super
what they
clear. This
believe,
is not
though.
a call to be reckless. We can compromise on our issues without compromising on our values. Those are two different things to me. We can negotiate policy without negotiating our identity and who we are. And I say this to myself every morning. We can be stubborn on our vision and remain flexible on our tactics. That is not weakness, but it is
I
discipline.
have no idea what that means.
It doesn't mean anything, really.
And to be honest, that's what governing looks like. So to the resolutions committee, we processed dozens of resolutions this session, and 27 came through. Some were sent to working groups for deeper consideration, but I can tell you that every single one of those resolutions represented a Democrat somewhere in the country who cared enough to put something on paper and ask their party to make a decision on it one way or the other. That, I think, deserves our respect, even when we disagree, and especially when we disagree. So I'm deeply proud of the work this committee has done the last couple of days. And as co-chair, I'm committed to making sure that when our members bring us their convictions, that they are met with a process that they can believe in. And I believe in the process that we held this past weekend. So with that, I submit my report. Thank you so much.
Started out pretty positive, the idea that, hey, maybe we should listen to voters, you know, but as always, they will come short of actually saying what that means.
Speak just reminds me, as a son of Minnesota, as Ron is, Ron always captures that spirit of my home state, and I'm really proud of you. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. With this, let's move on to our officer reports. And as you know, I'm going to take them in alphabetical order so I don't get into any trouble with our officers.
So this is,
And we're going to start with our associate
there's no
chairs.
real opportunity for disruption or discussion during this meeting. This is really just kind of a summary of what happened over the course of the week. So we shouldn't expect much conversation about anything.
Right. So what is this? What are these officer reports? What are they talking about? Just the subcommittees and the different caucuses?
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah.
It's a time when more power and wealth are being accumulated at the very top, while the lives of working people become more precarious. Working people continue to face persistent economic challenges. Things are too expensive.
Yeah, we're not going to make it through this whole meeting today. I can't do it. I can't do it. This is the worst thing I've ever watched. They're all giving the exact same speech.
Yeah.
They keep talking about working families and affordability, and then nobody has mentioned, well, what should the minimum wage be then? How can we raise wages? How can we empower unions? How can we grow unions? How can we push back against union busting? There's just so little of that. No mention of Medicare for all, just of healthcare. You know, no mention of universal daycare or anything like that. Any of the things that would actually make things cheaper.
To working people, and
Working
protections
people,
for
there you go.
workers that have been won over generations are being undermined, ignored, and rolled back. Many union members who supported Trump and still support Trump are also ardent union backers.
Stuart Applebaum is kind of a labor leader. I forget what union he's with, but that's why he's focusing on workers here.
I wonder if he remembers that Biden shut down the rail strikes.
Yeah.
By our party. They need to know we hear and share their concerns. And it is important to support and develop relationships with labor at every level of our party. And that is something we will continue working on, especially with the ASDC and others, because our party remains the natural home for workers in our country. And labor and the Democratic Party can only achieve their goals by working together. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart. Next up is our Associate Chair, Congresswoman Joyce Beatty from the great state of Ohio.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair, and to all gathered here. Let me first just say it gives me great honor to sit at this table, to offer my services, and to be a partner, a bridge, a supporter to all here. Major objectives is to help facilitate new opportunities for us in this new role. I believe that I can be someone with your assistance to help connect people to policies, to politics. Because when we look at our messaging, and I think Mitch said it so well, part of it is to unite us, because when we unite, we stand. When we divide, we fail or we fall. And so as a member of Congress, it gives me great pride to be Chair Emerita of the Congressional Black Caucus, to be a founder of Elect Democratic Women, where we have raised in our short infancy of being organized and working together more than $45 million and brought 17 women to victory. When I look at the Congressional Black Caucus and what we've done being the largest caucus in the Congress, and thank you that we have several of our members here with Congresswoman Nikema Williams, Congresswoman Robin Kelly, that we have fought hard. And so we want to be a voice to you. So let me just say to you, Mr. Chairman, thank you for allowing me to serve. But I think it's important to not only say what you're going to do, but to have some resolve. And I want to thank you for supporting us when we tried something new. We did it in a small venue where we would invite every caucus chair, every executive board, and others to sit in a room as our inaugural presentation. And we talked about the same messaging that we have on the United States House floor with Hakeem Jeffries, and the same message that this executive committee, starting with our 3 C's, which we said 3 times yesterday, that we must talk about the chaos, we must talk about the cost, we must talk about the corruption. And so I can tell you we had just shy of 100 people who came into the room to hear from members of Congress. Congresswoman Maxine Waters led the dialogue. We had Congresswoman Nikema Williams and Robin Kelly. We had Delia Ramirez also seated with us, and we were joined by Jonathan Jackson as well. And we had an opportunity to not just talk about what we're doing, but to receive what people from across the DNC. We had people stand up from some 12 states to say what they felt we should do. But more importantly, we had people to offer suggestions about what they were doing and how we can embrace it. And it was all on message, Mr. Chairman. And lastly, let me just say, we've been able to have our chairman meet with members of Congress, meet with leader Hakeem Jeffries, and each time they've been on the same message. I've had the opportunity to listen to him in New York at the Congressional Black Caucus PAC. I've had opportunities to listen to him. We heard from Mark Morial earlier with all of the big 8 of the civil rights leaders, with the women's group. So while that's not necessarily new, it is new in the sense that he is bringing a message when we don't have the United States White House or administration or presidency. So to me, it is more critical now that we be united to send the same message out that we've heard from our speakers today, because America is looking to us. The grassroots folks are looking to us. The
That's
young
not
folks,
true.
when we heard Fatima yesterday.
There's nobody there's nobody. There's not an individual who represents the grassroots who is like, the Dems are going to do it for us. That's who's going to lead us to the promised land. Nobody.
Let alone taking cues from them.
Oh yeah, it's embarrassing. And the idea we have to be united, because that's how the people who are counting on it, like, none of this makes any sense. It's just this story they tell themselves over and over, this mythology they've told themselves. And it's not true.
Buenos dias, everybody. All right. Hope we're doing well with this meeting. And I want to just start out by reporting out where I've been and what I've been seeing across my conversations with folks. I was so happy to have been invited and asked by my sister chair, Gina Repass of Kansas, of the Kansas Democratic Party, to invite me to participate in their Washington Days. Not only did I show up to be there to be a
Sam, one thing, another pattern that's coming up is that almost every speech begins with them thanking their dear friends and name dropping all their friends in the DNC.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if maybe having friends in the DNC is part of the problem.
Well, I mean, you can kind of see that here, that it's really like more of a social club dynamic here than it is colleagues and people who are working towards shared objectives. A lot of this is just about FaceTime and shaking hands, but you don't see a lot of like sort of work atmosphere here. It's much more hanging out with friends and acquaintances.
Right, right.
And what we saw there, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, they meet twice a year pretty much, and at no point do they do work in those days. It's very strange.
Candidates wanting to actually learn about labor. It's not a transactional relationship. We are talking about transformational relationships and ensuring that it's not just about funding or an endorsement. It's about understanding working people. And also, Mr. Chairman, this last month, I was able to sit down at the headquarters and meet with and host the Notre Dame College Dems of Notre Dame University in the building. And I have to say, Mr. Chairman, it was a real conversation with young Democrats in college from all parts of the country, all different regions, and to hear their questions and have real conversations. They too are struggling with how to talk to somebody that voted for Trump and not be angry about it.
I'm sorry, Notre Dame is in Indiana, where I live. It's a big deal in Indiana. Notre Dame costs $90,000 a year to go to.
Yeah, yeah.
When she's not talking to, I mean, it is such a specific school where like their students' dads are fans of the football team. Like,
right.
Notre Dame is not representative. It's wonderful. It's not representative though.
Listeners program. The When We Count programs, Mr. Chairman, that
it's a Catholic school that costs $90,000 a year to go to, and you're talking to out-of-staters when you say you're talking to people from all over. So they're paying even more probably.
And our candidates to be able to win up and down the ticket across the country, no matter what color, no matter where you are on the spectrum. And we talked about how these programs really are educating them. And then the next wave training that is coming up in May, the next one in the West Coast in Arizona in May. If you have not heard about it, get about it. If you've got some young interns, people that want to learn how to be ready for the next election, let's enroll them. That is our role as leaders here. And lastly, Mr. Chairman, I talk about building and organizing community. We've got to get back to that. You've been talking about how we go into communities and build within communities. And I thank you, Mr. Chairman, for having Carlos Eduardo Espina speak to us yesterday. You know, if you
looks like in fall 2026, Notre Dame is going to offer free tuition to families who make under $150K though. So that is
there you go. Okay.
That's awesome.
Program and leadership missing in his community in Bryan, Texas. And he said, I'm going to host a soccer group for free, a soccer camp. Hundreds of students coming out to join that effort. Now he's a huge social media
just completely
influencer,
unclear to me what this has to do with anything or what the order of business even is here at this point.
I have no idea. Young people, maybe this is young people.
I thought that's what you're talking about. That is what we're talking about, building a community. It's not just about elections, it's about people and programs. So again, that is my report, Mr. Chair, of the work, and thank you so much for your leadership. And we need to make sure that we are engaging people in the programs that the DNC is building.
Thank you so much, Artie. Thank you. Next up is Vice Chair Shasti Conrad from the great state of Washington.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. I hope, good morning, yes. I hope everybody had a great week in New Orleans. I hope you had the right amount of fun. The first time that I came to New Orleans, I was a college student, almost exactly 20 years ago, to participate in post-Katrina recovery efforts. And the city that I found left an indelible mark on me because I was so moved by the resilience of the people here and people who had been through so much even before Katrina hit, but who are still had hope and had a sense of pride in their city and pride in their culture. And it is amazing to see that it is still so vibrant even 20 years later. I was struck back then by the challenges of disinvestments in infrastructure and coming from a blue state at times, sometimes coming into states that are not quite blue yet. It is often sort of striking, and it always reminds me of how important it is to have democratic representation and to have democratic leadership, because it really does make a matter. It makes a difference in people's real lives. It makes a difference in the investments in infrastructure and in people. And so it's a good reminder that we come to places like New Orleans and we are renewed in that commitment to do that work, to being sure that we have democratic representation in every single state and every single community in this country. I was proud to co-host a reception earlier this week with a local organization alongside the Louisiana Dems Vice Chair Katie Darling, with an organization called Step Up Action. And they work with organizers, mostly Black and Brown organizers here in the community, doing both rural organizing and organizing around economic rights and worker power. And I think it's a real reminder for me that as much as I value and respect the work that we do in conference rooms when we come together as a DNC, we all know that the work that happens outside of these rooms is where it really matters. And that it's the folks that are on the ground in community day in and day out that really deserve the praise and the recognition and the support. We cannot have victories without those people who are willing to put themselves on the line, to be challenged, to have to really face unbelievable hardships at times with trying to do the work that we talk about with reconnection and community and authenticity and all of that. And we have got to be building a party that connects and speaks to those people. And I believe that we are. I know that we are. I know that we are, particularly under the leadership of our chair and everybody in this room. But we have got to be just remembering that we've got to do this all year round. There is no off year. There is no off cycle. And then lastly, I want to speak to a little bit. I was so moved, he's not here, but Brother Ron Harris's comments around building trust with people. And I think that accountability has to be a major part of that as well. Yesterday, while we were in general session, the news broke.
Even the DNC delegates do the knuckle point. It's kind of impressive.
Yeah, it's taken over the party.
I think it calls upon all of us. You heard Mitch Landrieu talk about
so
the fact that people are looking
Shasti
for us
Conrad talking about Eric Swalwell's the myriad accusations of sexual harassment and assault against Eric Swalwell.
How is she related to that?
She's just bringing it up, talking about accountability.
Not just we talk.
So this, by the way, this is something that was like an open secret in parts of the California Democratic Party for a long time. So I don't know if it's accountability or if it's just saving your ass after there's reporting in the mainstream media about it.
Or is it is it the same pattern that plays out everywhere over and over and over again, where nobody in Hollywood wanted to call out Weinstein, nobody in academia or politics wanted to call out Epstein, nobody in California wanted. It's like.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shasti. Next up, I called him the traveling man yesterday for a reason. And outside of myself, he's probably put on more miles than anyone else in the DNC, literally traveling around the world on behalf of our party.
We'll maybe listen to one more little speech and then do a summary and sign off, Sam.
Yeah, sounds good.
Good messaging to Democrats from the smallest of communities to the largest. Please welcome Vice Chair Malcolm Kenyatta.
At this point, we could have a speech bingo, knowing what they're gonna say.
Right.
Oh, he's got no audio.
Second time's the charm. Good morning. All right. So, Mr. Chairman, first of all, I want to thank you, and I just want to start with sincere thanks to each and every one of you around this table, and to the staff that's sitting around the wall, and to the state party leaders who aren't in this room, but who've been so critical to our party turning the page and deciding what we want this party to be moving forward. I say this all the time. Democrats don't lack for being self-deprecating. And I get a little concerned
What?
that so often we just stay right there. It is very easy to live
Democrats
in your
make fun of
losses and drive
themselves?
by your successes. We ought not drive by the fact that Donald Trump has a new state rep and her name is Emily Gregory and she is a Democrat. We ought not drive by the fact that in Texas, when somebody was outspent 7-8 to 1, Taylor Emmett is now the state senator in Texas and not the Republicans, in a seat that nobody thought was possible. I don't think we ought to drive by the success of Caitlin Drew in Iowa and breaking the Senate majority, supermajority in Iowa. I think we ought to talk about that. And you know what? In a place called Mississippi,
I'm not sure that there's really a
Democrats
dynamic where
broke the
people are
supermajority in Mississippi.
ignoring victories by Democrats. I don't think this is a real dynamic that is being described here.
Yeah. Well, self-deprecating refers to like making fun of yourself, like, oh, we suck, we're no good. That's the opposite of the Democratic Party. Like every other speech is about how we are the party they rely on. There's been no self-deprecation over the entire week.
Have not done this and that. Absolutely. If there's a thing you think Democrats haven't done, there's an op-ed that you can Google. Somebody's already written that story. The question is, what is the next story we're going to write? I'm telling you this, and I say it everywhere, nobody wants to join a pity party. Nobody's interested in joining a pity party. Clearly, we're doing something that's working. And I don't care what anybody else says. You can say what you want. Men lie, women lie. Numbers don't. And we are winning elections at a clip we've never done before in the history of this party. Those are the facts. Those are the facts. 90% win or over performance rate since 2024. 90%. So listen, I get it. Folks voted for Donald Trump 2024 and people will never let us forget it. But people have a right to change their minds. And they have changed their minds. They don't want an administration that spends every single day sowing chaos.
Again, we're targeting
the world.
Former Trump voters. The party, this is, it's this eloquent speech that sounds like it's all rah-rah. It's a speech about targeting Republicans
I think a
and moving
majority
to the
of
Senate.
Americans agree
Yeah.
that we ought to be putting money back in the pockets of working families, people who get up and
How?
bust their ass every single day, not billionaires that sit on their ass every single day.
And now we're back to
I think that people
swearing
feel
and
very, very
being
strongly
authentic.
that we should have a government that is competent. You know, and at the end of the day, these people are evil, but they're also incompetent.
We should be competently
good
bombing
because it might be
children in
better than
Iran,
evil.
not incompetently bombing them, Sam.
And I also think people ought to be able to go to the gas station and not have to dig into their mortgage payment to get to work. So my hope, Mr. Chair, is, you know, folks
Yeah,
who
really.
are- I
Jeez.
say this, you know,
It's so
They come so
embarrassing.
close to the point of talking policy, and
Oh,
then as soon as they
well,
get there, they run in the
how
other
crappy
direction.
Democrats are. There is a seat for you. I promise. If you got an op-ed about how we suck, you can be on the front
Has
page
Kamala
of the
Harris
New
even
York
sent out
Times
a
today.
tweet like, hey, if I was president, I would not have
But we
bombed
need to
Iran?
tell the
Has
truth
that
about
happened?
what's happening. And the
I
truth
doubt.
is, new folks are sitting around this table because we recognize what the problems were. And now we are doing things that are clearly producing results. And the question for us is, are we going to listen to the candidates who are doing the things that are producing results? Candidates who are talking about chaos, candidates who are talking about the corruption, candidates who are talking about what we're going to do with costs. Those candidates win. And I think as Democrats, if we focus on the future, we can continue to win. There is nothing in the past for us. We can't change it. We can't go back. There is nothing back there for us. Everything for us is in the future, and I am damn proud of the folks at this table. I know so many people don't know
Again,
what
we're
state party
talking around the
chairs
idea of
do.
not
They don't get
releasing
what
the
you do.
autopsy.
I know what you do.
We're not, this is,
I see what you
Yeah.
do.
I mean, this is, again, didn't Barack Obama say, we will not look backwards, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
he was
right.
secretly talking about, we're not going to arrest George W. Bush for war crimes and like all the
Right,
awful
right.
stuff he did. Now, we're not going to look backwards. We're not going to release the report that says we lost because Kamala Harris refused to stand up against genocide. I mean,
Yep,
it's the same
absolutely.
party, over and over.
The main thing. So people write whatever the hell they want. We're going to keep winning elections. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Malcolm. Next up is our treasurer, Virginia McGregor.
Can't do it. Sam, I can't do it. I can't listen to a treasurer's report.
Yeah, I think we might be cooked.
Yeah. I think they're just going a little too all gas and no brakes for me. I just can't.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't keep up. All right. Well, Sam, do you have any closing thoughts on your 3 or 4 days you spent in New Orleans and what you've seen down there and what you hope to come from the Democratic Party in the coming year?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've kind of talked about it, but it hasn't been the most substantial couple of days here. The Resolutions Committee was by far the meatiest discussion of policy, and I think what we saw was anything controversial was tabled, and a lot of what passed was kind of what's already typical for the Democratic Party, what's already kind of established policy. So I think, again, it's an unusual, extraordinary time, and we need a more extraordinary politics, and I'm just not seeing it here right now. And I think that should be concerning for everyone moving forward.
Yeah, I totally agree. I wonder if, of all these statements we've seen, is the irony lost on all of them when they talk about taking care of the American people, listening to voters, being a responsive party, taking care of affordability, not having high gas prices, without mentioning Gaza, Israel, AIPAC, Iran, war, without ever mentioning the W word of war.
Right.
It's as if everything exists in a vacuum and nobody affects it all. It's all just there. We can't look backwards. We didn't do anything to bring this about. It's just there. They're voting for us because they love us, not because they hate Trump. It's just an intentional blindfold they're all putting on themselves is what it seems like. And I'm just not sure if they know it. I'm not sure if there's 90% of the people in the room like, yeah, I'm going to clap because my career matters, or if they're all really true believers or not. That's what I'm really not sure about.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of this is really people who are trying to stay in the good graces of party leadership and, are not likely to challenge party leadership or challenge what's happening.
Right. All right, Sam, I hope you have a safe flight getting out of New Orleans. I hope you had a good week down there. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Thanks for hosting.
Of course. And with that, thank you all for joining us. Go to progressivehub.net for daily news and actions you can take that matter most to progressives. Check out Roots Action. And with that, everybody have a good rest of your day. And we will be hoping the DNC does a better job next time. Thank you.